Good morning, welcome to Ag Talk and Raw, where I talk raw about agriculture and other things that are on my mind. Okay, so what we got going on here? Let me kind of drop that down, get some more brightness, maybe a little more green from my screensaver. My screensaver is a photograph that I took when I was in the Philippines. I was up in Batad in the rice terraces. And it's just the most beautiful photograph. It looks like it could have came out of National Geographic or some other, picture, or other magazine like that. It's just gorgeous, and I always wanted it as a screensaver, and so I put it up there. It's beautiful. Anyway, I love agriculture. I love green. I love a lot of things, and I really do. I love what I do. I love. I just love to see things grow, and I love to work. I also like to go on vacation. It's a good thing, and there's a lot of people out there that may disagree with me because they've never actually taken that step out their front door into lands unknown to see something that is out of the ordinary or their ordinary, and just experience new things and new people and far off lands and just take that initial leap. And I would encourage anyone to do so. It's just, you got to be safe and use your brain. There's unsafe places in every country that you would travel to. Philippines is no exception. The United States is definitely no exception at all. There are places here that you would never even consider walking in as a white person, and that's just a cold hard fact. Camden, New Jersey, not a place for white people. There's places in Trenton that white people will not go. I've been to Camden to a dentist there, and the dentist, I had a problem with a tooth. It was what they call a wisdom tooth, 18-year molars or whatever, and the dentist comes in. Oh, excuse me, it's quite early. Dentist came in and said, "Hey, what the hell are you?" And this is what she said, this little blonde girl. She said, "What in the hell are you doing here?" I said, "Well, what in the hell are you doing here?" She says, "Listen, I'm going to take a quick look at your mouth, and I'm going to move you out of here because where's your car?" I said, "Well, it's out front." She says, "Oh, Jesus." She said, "All right, I'm going to look at your teeth, and I'm going to refer you somewhere else. Just get out of here." So I'm like, okay. I didn't realize I was in such a shithole until I walked out of the office. I'm pretty diverse, I guess. I really don't look at other people as, "Oh my God, there's a black man over there. Oh my God, look at that Spanish guy." I really don't. We're all people. It doesn't really matter the color of our skin or whatever we want to do. Whatever nationality we are. But at that point, I was quite a naive individual in thinking that, all people are good. I came from the farm, and on the farm, people are, around the farm and in my area, people are generally, honest and good. But anyway, I walked out and I had a Ford Expedition, and there were a bunch of black men and Spanish kind of all mixed together, and they were looking at my Ford Expedition. And I had only been in there 15 minutes. When I got back and I was talking to my uncle, who's now dead, he was killed in an airplane crash back in 2002, November 2002. He says, "Oh my God, it's a wonder you got out of there alive, let alone with your vehicle." I was like, "Well, I don't know." Michelle was there, my wife, and we had Timothy at the time. Timothy, Haley, and Joe had all three kids. She took me there. So maybe they saw that I had kids and they didn't want to bother with me. But he says it's a wonder you didn't come out and the damn thing would have been on the ground, no wheels, or even not even there. They may have been eyeballing it to take it while we were in the dentist's office. But anyways, that's just the way it is. When you're young, you're dumb. And it brings me to a topic of kids. Was down at the composter here, and we were talking a little bit about children, our children, my children, his children, and he says, why is it that these kids, that they're not going to do what you ask them to do, and they're used to having a parent there to help you, and I understand the struggles for independence and stuff, but when there's a parent that just says, hey, listen, and it just so happened to be for college, and I thought it was kind of funny, but his daughter says, I'm going to fill out my paperwork for college. I'm going to fill out my finance reports for college. She didn't want help from her mom and dad, which was, normal, I guess. And my response was, well, that's just the struggle for independence. But herein lies the predicament. Is she going to do it on time, or is it going to get down to the last 3 days and she's going to be like, oh my God, I need help, And he agreed. I said, well, kids are like that. I mean, I remember being like that. There was a moment in my life I absolutely hated the farm. Hated. I didn't hate the farm. I just hated the work that had to be done on the farm. I was raised on a dairy farm, and I may have said this before in other videos. But you're just going to have to sit and listen to it again. All right, so I was raised on the farm, on the dairy farm, and I look like Wooly Willy again. But I was raised on that dairy farm, and milking cows, it was a pain in the ass because you had to do it twice a day, early in the morning and later in the evening, and the feed that needed to be ground and all this stuff. But in reality, I actually did enjoy this stuff because I look back on it as a 46-year-old man, and those are probably the fondest memories I have on the farm was with my sisters and my mom and dad, and the things we did and the friends we had over, and the hay that we put up in the hay mow and stacked outside. I remember while Hands Across America was going on, and if you are old, you'll remember what that is. But Hands Across America was it Hands Across America? Hands Across the World? Hands Across America. It was when a whole bunch of people just got in line, and it was for like the African Relief Fund, for like Ethiopia. Because all those kids were starving to death, Here we are, farmers, and we're making milk and getting paid nothing for it. We're growing grain and getting paid nothing for it. And there's millions of people over in Europe or in Africa that are starving to death. And it was kind of a I didn't understand how that could possibly be, because how could people be starving to death when my family has, we're milking probably 70 cows at the time. There's milk in the tank, and the grain bins are 3/4 of the way full because we would fill the bins up. And the silos are full of corn, high moisture and silage, and then the grain bin was 23,000 bushels in there of corn, and there was soybean meal, and everything else was in there, and food was plenty. Here in the United States, how could these poor kids in Africa be starving to death? And we have all this stuff here. Why can't we just put it on a boat and ship it over? Well, as a kid, it's a simple solution. Just put it on a boat and ship it over, right? As an adult, you begin to realize the complexity of logistics and the what would you even say? The blatant disregard for life of leaders elsewhere. Because when you're a leader in any country, whether it's this one or a European country or even an African country or even South American country or any country in the world, if you haven't noticed, they're elite. They never seem to have to worry about paying their bills. They never have to worry about food that's brought to them. And even if their country is an outright shithole, they seem to have all the food in the world with 3 different spoons, 3 different forks, 4 different knives, 7 different glasses, 1 for wine, 1 for milk, 1 for water, whatever the hell they want. A plate and desserts, and when they bring you're getting 7-course meals at every meal, which is really, to me, ridiculous to see that when there are people starving around the world. And when I was a kid, and this was going on, we were stacking straw outside, down below the barn. We had heifers. It was hay and straw. There was straw on one side and hay on the other, and we put these ridiculous blue tarps on. Now, whoever came up with the ridiculous blue tarp, kudos to them. Tarpaulin is what they're called. Those things only last a month, and on our farm they last about 2 weeks because we're at the top of the hill, and if you look across the hill to the other side, you see Pennsylvania, which is a cliff side, and that air comes off of Pennsylvania. Now, you can be at the bottom of the field, and it could be a calm day. You get up to the farm, and you can lean into the wind. I mean, I used to shoot a lot more than I do now, but shooting clay pigeons and stuff, we couldn't do it at the top. We had to do it down at the bottom of the field because the wind would blow the pigeon away, or you couldn't stand to shoot and be accurate. So, anyway, that's just the way that was. But we were stacking the straw up, and we had hay and straw, and we had this crew of guys. They were young men, maybe in their high school age, definitely high school age, because they were all strapping young men that had enough muscle to do the job. And me and my sisters were fairly, rather young. I think Wendy may have been a freshman, and Holly maybe 8th grade, and I would have been in 7th or 6th grade, because, or 5th grade, whatever the hell it was. I got kept back in 3rd grade because I'm retarded, But yeah, so we're stacking the straw and we're listening to the radio, and we're listening to the radio on this Hands Across America, and they were saying that there were big blanks in the deserts, and there weren't enough people to fill the gaps. So they kind of held a rope, I think, is what they did. I can't remember now. I really can't remember what they did across the deserts because the temperatures were really high, and it was this big organized thing, and there were shirts that were sold. I participated in Hands Across America, and I don't know if any of those things even survived. I mean, we're talking 1984, 5, 6, 7, 86 sticks in my mind. That was a pinnacle year. The huge droughts that were down there. Now you don't hear anything about it. You don't hear much about the starving people in Africa, even though they're still starving. They're still starving, and their leaders still don't care. And they're, I don't know where they come up with their money from, but I'm sure it's through some form of taxation or maybe slavery, digging sulfur out of a mine somewhere. I don't know. But the world is kind of askew. Farming right now is tough. Prices are low. I mean, for everyone. Doesn't matter whether you're a hay farmer, wheat farmer, corn farmer, grain farmer, whatever you are. Milk is ridiculous. And again, you see our leaders and our peers and our agents, our county agents and stuff, and they all seem to have new cars and pickup trucks, and their houses are nice and neat and clean and fancy and everything, and we're struggling to pay our debts. I mean, yeah, I know there's a lot of farmers out there that are struggling to pay their debts. I know there's farmers out there that have paid their debts, but they got nothing left, and they're getting pretty skinny going into the spring, wondering when it's going to come. It is March 3rd right now. I have literally $200,000 worth of material that never got made. So I included am sweating a little bit. Am I going to be able to make my bills? And, come May, I leave for North Carolina in May. And, down through that area, North, South, Virginia, I'm going to be down that area baling straw. So when I will be leaving for North Carolina in May. The corn will be planted. There's some things that are going to be changing up here in New Jersey. A lot of people are like, oh, well, how are you going to farm in New Jersey and bale straw in North Carolina? Well, that's in the works, and, I only show you what you want to see on my One Lonely Farmer channel. But, you'll see how it goes and what's going to happen, and as I take off and do the job that I'm going to do down there, and it should be fun. I really expect everybody involved, even down there and up here, it's going to be having a fair amount of fun. Yeah, it's going to be a struggle this first year to figure everything out, how, where, and what I'm going to be able to do to get this job done. How am I going to do it? How am I going to get this hay made? And when I've got, a month and a half gone out of my summer? Well, that's a very good question. I mean, it may turn into another fiasco like 2018. Who knows? Is the weather ever going to break? Are we going to get the beans to get the corn in? Is that going to happen? I mean, I've ordered the seed. Is the corn going to get in the ground? Well, yeah, it is going to get in the ground. Even if I leave in May, I have a plan for that, and it is going to get into the ground. I'm more of a June corn farmer anyway. This is June ground, so I'm going to figure out where I have to be doing what and how much hay has to be getting baled up here versus down there, up here. I did sell that 4x4 baler, but I'm going to be purchasing another one. How silly is that? You sold one, now you're going to buy another one. I wish I hadn't sold it, kinda, because of the work that I had put into it, but it's not like I can't do that again. It's not like it's the end of the world and I can't do that again. I'm going to do that again. So, and I will have somebody here working up here as, not at a high pace, just at a steady pace. So that person, I used to do it myself here by myself, and I have all the confidence in the world that this person is going to be able to do that job because he's done it before. And that's what we're going to be doing there. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. All I can say is that. Now I hope, beyond all hope, that when we hit the ground running down there, that things go smoothly and things work well and we don't really have too much problems, because I quite honestly have a lot of money invested in this endeavor, and as long as I get it back, I'll be okay. Even if I only make half of it back, that's fine, because next year's another year, right? True, spoken like a true farmer. I expect to bale a lot of straw, and when I say a lot of straw, I mean a lot of straw. So that's what we're supposed to do. So in other news, we had snow yesterday, about 5 inches here. Got down to the south of here, and it was literally not much at all. And we're looking at a storm today. It is Sunday, obviously. So I got a storm coming at me today, up to 9 inches of snow, which really screws the pooch, because 9 inches of snow today means that the hay is going to be covered. Everything that I have to get made is going to be covered with snow, and I can't do anything with snow-covered hay. It's just impossible. And it's driving me nuts, because I really, 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 really would like to have that done. But whatever, is what it is. You can't fight the inevitable, right? I mean, Mother Nature's a fickle bitch, and she'll screw with you. So, and I'm sure if you put in the comment section below, tell me your troubles. I mean, I sound like a broken record, like I'm complaining all the time. And I'm not really complaining. I'm just stating the facts, that we're all in that same rowboat and the oars are broke off. We're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Are we going to make it to new crop before we're bankrupt? That kind of thing. I'm not going to go bankrupt. It's just going to be tough. Yeah, I do have some reserves, cash flow, money that I've saved up, and that I can use to get through if I have to, and definitely going to need to speak with the composters about price increasing and things like that. Especially this one composter refuses to yield on the price. They're like, oh no, we're not. Well, you're going to have to, because if you don't, you're not going to get any material from me. And they would probably be fine with that until they realize that I produce a lot of hay. They know that I produce a lot of hay, but there may be a lot of hay out there this coming year. Who knows? But I know when I'm getting phone calls, hey, can you bring in hay? Can you bring in hay? That means that there's a shortage of hay. And I'm going to get it in. So, what was I going to talk about? I mean, there were some things I was going to talk about, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to just bear with me a minute, because I'm going to read some comments off the OLF channel. And, they're not good comments. And, Chucky 2009, he set it up pretty good when he talks about not reading comments and how it'll eat you alive. And, it doesn't eat me alive, but it is kind of concerning as to, and these groove rings are stupid. Yeah, groove rings are stupid. That's the advertisement. So I have advertisement on that channel, obviously, as with this one. So I'm going to read some of these comments and answer them. And this is on the OLF channel, so don't get me wrong here. It isn't this channel, but the reason it isn't, I'm not reading the comments on that other channel yet, is because I got enough on here. So I do know how to set up and make a set of stairs. Okay, I may not be the best carpenter in the world, but I can get shit done. And I just want everybody to know that this loft that I'm building, and it is a loft. I will explain that on the other channel, how it is not a mezzanine, but it is actually a loft. But, I said that I would have 8-inch risers on my stairs. Well, I would have 8-inch risers on my stairs, including the tread thickness. Well, I want 8-inch of tread thickness, which gives me a 7-inch riser with a 1-inch pad. So it'd be about 8 inches. That's just how that works. I don't know. I actually have to take the measurements and figure out the run. They're saying 11-inch run, but 10-inch run is just fine by me. Or even 10-inch run is fine. And but I do need to figure out the height of this thing, which is going to be about 6'4". Depends on how level I can get it made. It will be level when I'm done, but it's if you understand, and you got to watch the other channel. But anyways, let me get to reading these comments. Your stairs should be more like 11-inch treads on 8-inch risers. Should not exceed 8 inches. Well, I agree with that. I learned a trick with porcelain from a spark plug back in 2002. Something with a chemical reaction. I don't know that it's a chemical reaction. I don't know what it is. And I'm sure if Mythbusters were to do something on this, I would be incredibly interested to see it. Wimpy Tigger, I guess you're on vacation again. I hope you're having a good time. I deserve it. Well, no, I'm not on vacation. As you can see, I'm still within my house. And I'll address these on the other channel as well. It's amazing how much stuff you collect through the years, Wes. There you go. And I really actually enjoyed this. I used to be a contractor of Hercules Company that powder came from. Brings back a load of memories. That site no longer makes powder. They make chemicals and do research. I miss working there. Yeah. Porcelain on plate glass is rumored to encourage shopkeepers that won't pay their bills. Yeah, I could imagine that. Something about candle wax and unseizing bolts. I've heard that trick before. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Can't wait to see your shop all organized. It's going to be sweet. Love your videos. My dad had a farm all my childhood and lost it in the 90s, so watching your videos takes me back to the farm. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. We're only one season away from bankruptcy and a farm sale. Just so you all know that. If you are farm folks, you know that very well. Why not put a shipping container in there? It would be secure and easy to move if you want something different in the future. Because a shipping container is just an 8-foot wide, 8-foot tall container box that I don't want to put in my shop. I thought about bolting 2 of them together and torching between and making doorways and shit like that. And I may do that at some point, but not right now. And I think there's a ordinance in my area now that does not allow the does not allow the shipping containers to be put in like they were. Okay, so this is Stephen Dunham. Stephen Dunham is probably one of the reasons I wanted to read these comments on this particular video. So, Stephen Dunham, you act like everything is or was yours, but you don't remember. Which one is it, and why do you talk like you're 80 years old? Spoiled brat growing up? Question mark. Well, I really am a little concerned at your comment here because I don't know what you're talking about. I don't talk like I'm 80 years old. My voice is that of a normal 46-year-old man. Everything that was on those pallet racks, either myself or my father put them there, or Timothy threw on top. And that's the whole point of this, is that shit has been up there since about 1989 or 90. And I've been on this earth probably longer than you, and I contributed to adding the stuff to that, and I know exactly what it was when it was put on there and what it went to. You can ask either one of my boys that are helping me what I say when I see something that they don't understand what it is, and I can tell you exactly what it is and where it goes and what piece of equipment it came off of. I took this farm over a long time ago now. I mean, my dad was... I bought my corn planter. The corn planter that's in the shop belongs to me, and I think I bought that in 1990. I bought that in 1998, that corn planter. So, 20 years ago, the equipment started, though I started purchasing my very own equipment in 1994. But in 1998, I bought that corn planter. So in 1994 was when I really started to take over the farm. So I guess I should know what is on there. I mean, come on. And why I talk like I'm 80, I don't even get that one. So whatever. I would say some profanity right now, but I've been warned by Google. I get these special emails from them saying that my profanity is going to get my channel taken down. So they're gunning for me, so I won't give you the proper Ag Talk in the Raw response. Perfect for conditions for working in the shop, which is true. So anyway... Yeah, maybe I'll give you a little history lesson. See, when I was a kid, my grandfather died when I was 9 years old, and I put a lot of weight on my dad. Yes, he was in his 30s when my grandfather died, but still, the things that my grandfather did may have not been the best decisions for the farm, because he was sick. He smoked cigarettes, and he was sick, and he died at 58 years old. My dad is now 70, closing in on 71, so he's outlived my grandfather by many years. My grandmother is 94 now, and she's reaching the end. But, the farm is still here. And, so when my grandfather was... When I was 9, my grandfather died, and the equipment was... We had newer equipment at the time, and to pay for that equipment would not have been too much of a problem, but in 1982 and 83, grain prices tanked. Milk prices tanked. So you've got these huge dollar amounts of equipment that are there that would have easily been paid for with higher grain prices and higher milk prices, but now they've dropped to half corn. I mean, beans at that time were like $6 a bushel, and they dropped to $3. Corn was $3 a bushel, and it dropped to $1.50. And it wasn't until the 90s, late 80s and early 90s, that corn and soybeans had made a rebound. So the 80s were pretty tough on the farm because my grandfather died in 81, December of 81. So 1982, things collapsed. My grandmother and my father had to reinvest, or took the loan, refinance. That's the word I'm looking for. Refinance what was borrowed by my grandfather. My grandfather had decided that he wasn't going to die anytime soon, even though he had had 2 major heart attacks and he had blood clot in his leg and all kinds of crazy things because of the cigarette smoking. His health was bad. And there was an insurance policy that he had. It was a life insurance policy that in case he died, that it would cover everything that was done. Now, my grandparents had the house rebuilt, and it needed to be redone in 1980. So when I was 8 years old, there's pictures of me standing on a foundation at my grandmother's house. Now, it's an old stone house, but they completely gutted it, and they added an addition onto the back. For some reason, I have no idea, because, my dad didn't live there anymore. My aunts weren't living there, well, my one aunt was, but the other aunt was moving out. She was starting her life, and, so why do you put an addition onto the back of a house for two people? Didn't make any sense to me, but whatever. So whatever. So all that money that would have been wiped away by a life insurance policy, he canceled like 2 weeks before he died. And I guess he was going for another life insurance policy, but he died before he could get that done. So this whole entire mess that he bought, a new baler, new corn planter, new grain drill, new combine, new tractor, what else did we do? There was the grain bin was new, those two blue buildings, they were brand new. So in the late 70s, from say 76 to 1980 and 81, they finished the house in 81. There was a lot of money that was spent to upgrade and improve the farm, and then he died. And that huge debt that was there had to be paid back, and grain prices fell. He worked at the paper mill. He also worked a day job at the paper mill. And it was only supposed to be for one winter, my grandmother said, and that winter lasted 21 years. So after 21 years of working in a paper mill, you would think that he would have had a pension or some form of a 401k, which didn't exist at the time, but some kind of a pension or what would you call it? I guess it would be a pension. Anyway, I'm still half asleep, and that cup of coffee did nothing. But that wasn't the case, because the paper mill, they were ruthless bastards. So that money that my grandmother would have gotten, it wasn't there. And Social Security, my grandmother never got Social Security for my grandfather. So, everything that my grandfather paid into Social Security was gone. It was like, oh, okay, so my grandfather pays into Social Security, which is supposed to help in case he dies, but because it wasn't available to my grandmother, the farm was worth too much, I guess, and they wouldn't give her any Social Security. And yet, people up the road here who have never put $1 in get full Social Security for themselves and their kids, because one's got a lazy eye and the other one's got a lazy ass, and the kids are lazy as lazy gets, and they're on the welfare system as well. So it just really kind of annoys you when you have, now, how many family members have I had die in the last 10 years that never received $1 in Social Security? Let's see. My grandfather, he was 58 when he died, so he never got Social Security. My grandmother never did until she retired back. It's been a few years ago. She got Social Security from that. My sister, she died. She paid in and never collected any. My Uncle Paul, he died in an airplane. He was 46 years old. He's my age. I believe 46. He died in 2002. He was in his mid-40s. So he died in 2002, so he was in his 40s, so he never collected anything. Maybe he was 48. Wonderful man. I miss him very much. We talk about him often because he was such a vibrant, inspirational guy that got shit done. I mean, if it needed to get done, Paul was the guy to do it. And he could do it efficiently. I mean, if you said, hey, I got to go to Flemington, and I need to stop here, here, and here, he would map that out in his head so he could do the most efficient route and get it all done. What would normally take me an hour and a half to do, he could do it in 20 minutes. It was crazy. And he was the only guy that I know that could come to the farm wearing white pants and get out of that tractor at the end of the day still wearing white pants. Not that he would take them off. They were still white. He never had any problems. It was just really weird. And that was the way he was. Me, I put on this white shirt. By the end of the day, it's dirt, because I'm always in the dirt. But, so Paul died. Recently, my brother-in-law just passed away. And he paid into Social Security. And he never got anything back out of it. And I'm sure there's others. I just have to remember them, And I have a cousin that his wife is very sick, and she's going to pass away before she ever receives Social Security. So, there's a lot of Demorats that watch my channel here and then make stupid comments about, you did blah, 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 you don't pay your fair share and stuff, and these people coming in from Mexico or Guatemala or Honduras, they need the money too because this is the land of the free. No, it's not the land of the free. It's the land to come here and get your ass to work and contribute. That's what this is. And if you're a Demorat and you're watching this, please unsubscribe because you're fucking stupid. If you support Nancy Pelosi or that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you're too fucking stupid to watch my channel. Please, just unsubscribe. You're not welcome here because people like that don't have a place in this country. They need to be shipped off to whatever country it is that they came from. Socialism won't work. It don't work. It is never going to work. And that's just the long and the short of it. I'm starting to wake up. I'm going to get all fired up. So, it's crazy. So I'm sure there are scores of people that are watching this that know somebody or have family members that have paid into Social Security all their lives and will never see a dollar of it. So here you are, fleeced by the government for money that you may or may not receive. I'm 46 years old. Is Social Security going to be there when I get to the retirement age? Highly doubt it. I do pay my Social Security tax. Thank you very much. I do. And, it is... I pay so others can benefit from my hard work, right? Like Ben Carson is getting HUD under control. And there's not as great a need for HUD housing, and the Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren, she comes out and starts scolding him that he's not doing enough with the HUD money and in the reality of it is that our economy is doing quite well and people are working. So if people are working, why do they need HUD housing? They just get over the level that is, the minimum level of income that you can make in order to get HUD housing. And a lot of people are scumbags about it, and they'll go get these under-the-table jobs and live for free off of my hard work and others like me's hard work just to get a free house, and everything's cash, buying and selling on eBay, which is not as easy to do anymore, but they do it. But anyway, what else can we talk about here before I get tired of it? I got my crone hat on. Don't even get me started with that AOC is what they're calling her, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, threatening senior members of Congress, Democratic Congress, because she's the new voice of the Democratic Party. She's a socialist. And Nancy Pelosi is just an old scab that never got picked and thrown away. So you've got that idiot. You got Chuck Schumer, that old scab. Two versions of the same old scab. And things that they said 5 years ago and wanted to have done, and now that there's a Democrat or a Republican in office, or elected Republican. He was a Democrat up until about 10 years ago or whatever. But now that Donald Trump's in office and he says the same exact things that they were saying, it's no good because it's not they can't get it done. He can get it done, but they can't get it done. And he will get it done because the Supreme Court is going to uphold this state of emergency, whether the Dems like it or not. We're getting a wall. Anyway, we need the wall. As much as people can say that I'm an idiot about the wall isn't going to be a barrier that goes clear across. It is going to be a funneling system, because people are like deer. They're lazy. They are lazy. They will come to the wall, start walking along the edge of the wall, looking for an easier route to get through. Now, people are also cunning, and if you've got enough money, you can burrow under and go a ways through, but you got to have money to pass. It's like a toll you have to pay, and if you don't pay the toll, you get trafficked. Human trafficking. If you're a pretty girl, you go into the sex trade. If you're an older woman that or a young man, say in your 30s and 40s, then you may become a waiter in their restaurants. These traffickers, they're pretty sly. But in the end, you're going to be trafficked. So these are funnel systems. You get funneled into an area where the Border Patrol agents are concentrated the most, and they just pick them off. And there is a crisis at the border wall. As much as YouTube would like to squelch it, there are as many videos going up a day that are being taken down, and some of them are by senators that are in those border states and showing the whole thing. So, but anyway, I am going to change this. I'm actually going to go over to Subscribblers, and I'm going to find my... Oh, come on, Wesley Shaw. I have 157. Wow. AG. I should be at the top of the list. No. I watch this guy. He's called A Foreigner Farming in the Philippines, and I watch him. He's kind of funny, but I shake my head at him too. God, I know I'm on here. Why in the heck am I not? PQR. Yeah, I am Ag Talking to Raw. I can't even find my own channel. Oh, there I am. Yay! So I'm going to read some of the comments for break-even costs of corn. The reason I'm going to read those, God, now I've got some kind of a wax commercial. Can you believe that? Wax on, wax off. So I'm going to read some of these from this channel, and hopefully you enjoy those, and I can answer some of your questions. Corn Farmer Matt, if you interplant corn, your stalks will be small. If you interplant corn, your stalks will be smaller in diameter, being they have to compete with each other for nutrients. Some soil it works, on others it's disastrous. Just my experience. Okay, I think overplant is what he was saying. Now, I have planted on all my ground here with the proper amount of fertilizers at 32,000 plants population, and it does very well. I have pulled over 200 bushel corn off of this ground. Now, we are dryland corn here, so it's going to be is it going to rain or isn't it? Are we going to have, are we going to have the right amount of moisture to keep this stuff going or not? That's really what it is. B&L Farms, how come crop inputs are so high up north? For example, a quart of Power Max here in surfactant is only $5.50 a quart. Power Max here with surfactant is only $5.50 a quart. Okay, beats me. I generally buy my my chemicals in Latta, South Carolina. That's where I go, Latta, South Carolina. Great video, thank you. Good talk, Wes, thank you. You should add Miracle-Gro to your head. Yeah, that would be the Rogaine. Yes, that would be the Rogaine. I don't know if you can even buy that shit anymore. Enjoy the chat, thanks. Okay. Mark Heisman, I have a Great Plains 12-row twin row. If you want 6-row twin rows, you need 12 units. Yeah, I know, but I've seen several corn planters out there with 11 rows. Now, why is that? And I can almost tell you why. Because they're planting so close to this, instead of having 12-row units, you go with 11-row units. Maybe it's 9-row units or 10-row units. I don't even know. Whatever. They're going and they're planting really close. Anyway, whatever. I have no experience with 12. I have no experience with twin rows. I've been close to them, but, in this area it may or may not work. But there's a neighbor up here, and he's running them, and he seems to be doing quite well. Oh, people want to see more comedic part of me. Well, I'm rather an interesting person, I guess. Only 8 feet wide? You know best. I'm thinking 10 feet or more might be better. Don't forget lighting in those island parts. Okay, so he's talking about my loft area and what I'm going to do underneath, which I need to get Timothy moving because we're going to be going at that pretty hard today. You're the Man West. Just bought a 7200 myself and are doing winter rebuild on it. Keep up the good work. And Vince, thanks for the birthday boy in Michigan. Kevin Holton. What happened to the F550 for a service truck? Well, I need the flatbed part of it. And in order to do a service truck, I either need to take the flatbed part of it off or add a bunch of toolboxes. So, which is it? And I need fuel tanks. So, it's kind of going to be a tricky thing. Why not just widen the 4-row? Well, you can widen it, but I need another 4-row to cut it apart and redo it. And no, I won't be using the markers anymore. I haven't used markers in years. I mean, I have the markers and I have used them, but I don't use them anymore. They're just not as accurate as, say, the GPS. I really like the GPS. I do, and I use it, even though it was a 4-row corn planter. I know there's a lot of people like, why are you using a 4-row corn planter with GPS? You ever see that? I mean, I've had comments that, why do you do these things? Even after they just got a whole video as to why I do these things. It's amazing. It's just totally amazing. I can make a whole video saying, hey, I use a GPS on my 4-row corn planter because it's more accurate. I get straighter rows. The population is actually more accurate when you have straight rows. It's easier to follow a toolbar than it is to deal with the markers going up and down at the right time, because I've already had them fuck up, and then the damn marker will go up. You raise it up, the marker comes up, and then the same one goes down, and then you got to stop and blah, blah, blah. Whereas GPS, it's right there all the time. I don't really have any problems with that. So there you go. And they'll still say, why do you do that? Yeah, gotta love it. I mean, you just gotta love it. The 1540-60, you have to put 300 pounds to the acre. Okay. I mean, that's fine. I can put 300 pounds to the acre. Where's that piece of paper? Does it say 300 pounds to the acre? 1540 application. Yeah, they're not really saying what I'm supposed to put down. But yeah, 1540-60 at 300 pounds to the acre. Well, in order to come up with that analysis, yeah, so you would, 1/3 of 60 is what, 20? 40, 1/3 of 40 is, I don't know, 1250? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, 12.5. Yeah, that makes sense. It would be 300 pounds to the acre. But still, by the time you put all these inputs in, you've got a total cost of $412.91 into a crop that may or may not be worth $4 a bushel. We don't know. What's it going to do? I'm not going to forward contract anything until I get this stuff in the ground and it's growing. So, and I would only forward contract half of what I've got for an October, November delivery. I personally think that I'm going to sell everything that I have right out of the field. There's just no sense in storing it. Whether I rent a hopper trailer or hire somebody to come in 3 times a day to haul this out of there, because I'm going to need to get rid of it. Run it through the dryer, put it in the white bin, as that'll hold just about 2,000 bushels of corn. Throw it in a white bin and load out as they come in, which happens pretty quickly out of that bin. I just really don't want to have too much stored. If I have 200 acres, I'm going to blow over my bins easily. If I have 100 acres, I got 20,000 bushels right there if I get 200 bushel yield, which I'm not going to get. But but I'm planning on 150 to 200 acres of corn. So 200 acres of corn, you're looking at 35 to 40,000 bushels. I don't have the storage for it, so it's got to go. If you go 36 or higher, the plants start to fight for food and water. Absolutely. I agree. And that's kind of why twin rows work better for that. They're a little farther spaced out on, 7 inches, I think, or maybe 6 inches? 4 to 6 inches. It's 6 to 8 inches, something like that. But when you're combining, then you have to fold them in. Have you ever noticed that? They just kind of, I've watched them combine that stuff before. So could you double up rows of corn in the headlands and put the center of the field in soybeans? No, I'm not doing soybeans. Soybeans to me are just, how the hell do you deal with the deer? I could grow beans again if this compost works really well, but still feeding deer, especially in a drought year, you're gonna have problems. Yeah. On the corn deal, why not buy cornfields to bale and not waste time planting it? Because people don't want to sell their fodder. That's why. It's funny that way. I asked several people. Three of them went for it. But this fall, they're like, no, don't go out on my fields because you're going to cut ruts. And that's what I would be doing, is cutting ruts. So I can't do that. I don't know if your ground has the capacity to handle it, but we plant 32,500 corn seed to the acre. You really can't walk through it from the side. By the way, I live in Central Valley, California. Yes, no, I agree with you. 32,000 is what we plant, and that was what really got me the yields that I was getting with the deer that I have. Now, if I plant in 30-inch rows, it's even better than the 38-inch rows. You know, people say, oh, well, what's 8 inches? Well, 8 inches is just quite a bit. By the time you get across the whole corn planter, those rows are pretty close together. I would actually probably squeeze it down to 28-inch rows, and that will give me a little farther spacing between, or I can narrow them up a little bit more, put a little higher population in, because they'll be closer together, and the root masses will suck up anything that is in between those rows. Because when you go with 38-inch rows and you broadcast fertilizer in the middle of that row, I mean, you're talking over 3 feet wide. 38 inches is wide. So do those roots actually make it to the center? Yes, but they're deeper, and you have to have rain to fall in. Plus, you have a big old strip of light where weeds can take over, get in there and kind of do a mess there. So we really don't want to do it that way. If you need them, I have plenty of 7,000 row units. I will give you two, and maybe drive them up there for you. I'm in Central Virginia. You know what, 4430 John Deere, that's a really nice offer. It's a really nice offer, and I may take you up on that, and then just add on to my toolbar that I've already got, slide everything in. See, the problem is the shaft. I have to buy a new shaft. But there you go. Maybe, if you want to, I'll meet you halfway. I don't know. We reach an average 170 bushels an acre and have one field that will yield 220 an acre, and then the fields beside it, you're lucky to get 150 bushels to the acre. Well, we reach an average 170 bushels an acre. That's correct. So if you got 170 bushels and one field that does 220 and the other, so you're on small scale. The more acres you plant, the lower your average is going to be, because you'll have, unless you're a smart farmer like a lot of us claim to be but really aren't, because farmers are weird. At times, we're really weird and stupid. We just want to farm it all. Farm the shit out of it. And, you can average those numbers in. So if you get a field that only averages, say, here in New Jersey, 125 bushels the acre, which is pretty common, and then you have those other fields that are up there in that 170 range, and 120 bushels to the acre, you're losing money, especially following this sheet of paper, because break even is 103 bushels. That's just for your inputs. That's not your tractor. That's not your combine. That's not your fuel. So you got 3 other things you have to worry about. Oh, your drying costs, your bin costs, and your storage costs, your electricity cost. You can keep right on going. So that 103 bushels, you need at least 150 at $4 to cover your bases on that. Now, the only reason I'm going to be growing corn this year is because I have a contract for corn fodder, and that corn fodder will be my profit side of it. And that's why I want 200 acres. And that profit side, I'm hiring someone to run operations up here. And in order to get this particular person that knows what he's doing, it is going to be expensive. But you have to spend money to make money, and I have faith in this person that he will get the job done. And I'm going to give him the badge of farm operator, owner, farm manager. He will be managing the upper part of this, and I'll be glad to have him on board again. So, yeah. Have you ever seen a bald Mexican? The ones that I work at our shed say to use aloe. They calm your roots. Claim your roots are still there, just need a kick in the ass to get growing again. All right, well, aloe is easy to come by. Maybe I should start spreading aloe on my head just to see what happens in the next week or so. Kelderman Fold 8-row John Deere 7000 planter. They're roughly 14 feet wide going down a road. Outside 2 units fold inward on each side. Well, that's cool. That would be really cool to do. You know, I was talking about belt meters earlier. The belt meter, you know, yet on that last week's live stream, or not live stream, but video. Belt meters do work very well. With belts, you have to watch the seed size, Wes. Be careful. I'm not growing soybeans, so I don't care. I was just Douglas Wilkin. Yeah, seed size. I mean, if you get those big cat's eye marbles, they're not going to go through there. But the average seed that you buy from a dealer, you know, where you get your soybean seed, they're all sized already. You know, because they have to be sized because most people are using bean planters and plates, air seeder plates, and they have to be a certain size also. So I don't think that seed size is going to be a problem unless you're running bin run beans, and then your belts won't work at all because if you get one pod in there, that screws everything up. So you just kind of gotta be careful with everything that you do when it comes to bin run beans. Now, I have a seed cleaner, so when I cleaned my own seed, and I did that many times, soybeans, wheat, rye, barley, I have the screens, and I can size it. I can size those beans as to the size that I need. I never ran belt meters, but I have run a corn planter with soybeans, you know, in it, the seed cups, bean cups, which they worked okay. There was nothing really wrong with them. Check your rain forecast to see if the rain will be there to support your population. Yes, rain forecasts are, you know what, have you ever known a weatherman to be accurate in any sense of fashion of way or of anything? He's the only person that can boldface lie to you every fucking day of the year and still get paid. Yeah, there you go. Sorry about the language. Hit the like button as soon as you started flipping off the government. Awesome. Yeah, and I didn't even get demonetized. Yeah, because the government forces people to participate in crop insurance. It's not your choice, right? That is true. That is true, Buckhorn Cortez. If you go to the government programs like the Farm Service Agency and sign up your ground, you pretty much have to have crop insurance. That is correct. It is not your choice, right? Right. So I'm not going to Farm Service Agency. Like I said, they can kiss my ass. I don't care about them. FSA, I'd never deal with them again. You know, soil conservation, those people, you know what? I could tell you nightmare stories about those idiots. NRCS, okay? And I'm going to tell you, I got nasty grams and phone calls from them people. So years ago, we were growing a lot of corn and a lot of soybeans, and we had to have a conservation plan in place and with nutrient management because we were applying sludge. Yes, sludge. Now, there's an idiot on here that was saying, oh, you must be something special. All you say is sludge, sludge, sludge. Well, yes, we used human waste. And in order to deal with human waste, you had to have a nutrient management plan. It's just the way it was. So you had to have a rotation on 5 years, okay? On 5 years. So if you were going to be planting corn and soybeans, it was corn, beans, corn, beans, corn. So you have, 3 years of corn, 2 years of beans, right? In that 5-year rotation. Now, you could trip it up with wheat. So if you had corn, beans, wheat, corn, let's say corns, beans, wheat, corn, beans is fine. Or corn, beans, wheat, beans, you're okay because you had the wheat. And there's William. Here's William Edward. You're so cute. Good morning. Yeah, you get a big smile for Daddy, don't you?
I gotta get my coffee.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I was waiting for you to get done, but you've been yakking for
I've been yakking for an hour. Just exactly 1 hour. So, this is my guy. Did you see this guy? He's so cute. He's just a handsome boy. He's a boy. What'd you do to your lip? Did you bite that? So, anyways, with that being said, I had beans, corn, and then we had a hurricane. Okay? So, I had what did I put in there? Beans, corn, and I went to Timothy Hay. Okay, and normally this field would hold just fine because there was enough trash there to hold the soil. Well, we had a hurricane. After I chopped the corn off, we worked the ground, rolled it. The grass was growing, actively growing. It was a late season hurricane, and yes, we chopped it for corn silage for the cows. Right, right. And anyways, so we chopped the corn off. We had that, and it washed. It washed terribly. It washed terribly. I get a phone call from NRCS telling me that I'm non-compliant with my soil conservation plan. It's like, I'm in compliance with my conservation plan. Well, you have erosion ditches through your field. I'm like, yeah, we just had a hurricane. He's like, well, we want you to put small square bales out and stake them into the ground. I says, well, okay, but I'm not going to use small squares. I'm going to use large squares. Well, large square bales won't work. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why won't they work? So he says, well, the water will run underneath the large square bale. I'm like, you're telling me that you think that a large square bale, now we're not talking rounds, we're talking squares, that the water is going to actually run underneath these bales and erode it anyway? Yes, we are requiring you to put in small square bales. I says, well, you can't require me to do a goddamn thing because I'm using big square bales. And you can see that a big square bale will work. So I get out there and it dried up. And what are you up to, boy? I dried out enough. I took the front end loader and I shoved the dirt all the way back up to the top. Right? All the way to the top. And I actually made like a little God bless you, little boy. All the way to the top. And I made like a little swale. And then I put the bales of hay in a U-shaped pattern, like 1, 2, 3, and then I went wider, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at the very bottom I put 1 right at the drainage. They had put a manhole or a grate over where the mud had came over the top, flooded it. I mean, there was 6 inches of dirt in the road because of this thing, but we had done that. And I got nasty grams and calls like that from these assholes. And they were telling me, and look at that. Okay, I'm coming. Come on. I gotta go. Hey, William? Oh, I can't do anything. What are you doing? You're like, you're the destroyer of fun. Did you know that? No. He's a lot of fun. Anyhow, oh my God, I can't believe she just did that. My attention span, has gone. So anyways, as far as NRCS is concerned, this is for you guys. They try to fuck with me excuse my language, they try to screw with me all the time. We had a very wet summer. They're trying to screw with me on the making hay, how I had to have that off by August, or I was in non-compliance with the farmland preservation people, which is BS, because I talked to the farmland preservation people and they're like, what are they talking about? No, you can't have woody material growing like autumn olive bushes and sticker bushes, and yet I can show you 100 places around that they don't even farm the fields anymore and they get farmland preservation, which they need to lose. They need to have liens put up against their properties and lose their ground because they're not doing it. So anyway, that's just me. MILF, it does the body good, see? Right. Anyway, I've always got a good story, so this guy brightens my day, though. Yes, he does. See? What's that? Is that you? Up here. What's this? See how cute he is? He's just an adorable young man. But anyway, explanation of the single finger gesture is spot on. Thank you very much. There you go. Splice your neighbor's toolbar to your planter and lop off the excess, killing microbes, starves the worms. That is true. Starves the worms. You need that microbial activity in the soil in order to break down organic matter. And I think that's why there's a lot of stalk trash anymore on top of the ground or even working into the soil that doesn't break down, because when you kill those microbes, nothing rots. That's why pressure treated lumber doesn't rot, because all the poison they put into that lumber, it kills all the microbes that would normally rot that wood. Right, William? If I put long hair on him, he'd look like a girl, wouldn't he? He'd be a pretty girl. That's not nice to say, Dad. But yeah. Anyway, open pollinated stuff is 15 feet tall. I was thinking of doing some open pollinated corn varieties because there's a chicken farmer up here who wants non-GMO corn, and I'll talk to him. Maybe I get 10 acres in and feed his chickens with it. But that stuff's a pain in the ass. It's just a pain in the ass. Anyway, I guess I'm done. 1 hour, 5 minutes, 20 seconds is more than enough. So, and Mr. William, we love this guy. Anyways, bye-bye.